I'm R.G. Absher with the Wilkes-Barre chapter of the Over Mountain Victory Trail Association, and this next segment will feature Greg Jones and Doug Mitchell giving a demonstration and a talk on period weapons of the 18th century.
Good day, everyone. How are you? My name is Greg.
I'm Doug.
And we're here to talk about 18th century weapons and what you might see through the Battle of Kings Mountain and what the Surrey militia might be training here with during their 2 weeks in militia school. Doug, why don't you talk about the weapon here in the back?
This one right here is a 62 caliber. They call it a light Dragoon pistol. It's a flintlock, and a flintlock, I'll give the basics of it. All these weapons are exactly the same, just different shapes and sizes, but it uses a piece of flint here, which is a stone. It's sharpened, and then this is a frizzen right here. It's a piece of steel. So you got flint and steel, you get fire. It moves at such a good pace, and it's got a nice edge to it. It actually shaves off a little piece of steel, which will drop down in this pan here, which is filled with gunpowder. There's a small hole in there. The gunpowder ignites there, goes into there where we've previously put a charge of gunpowder and a musket ball, and ignites the gunpowder and sends the ball down the field. Each one is the same. Do you want to keep going, or?
You go ahead.
Yeah, okay. This one right here is the Brown Bess. This is a weapon that was made from roughly 1725 to about 1838. For over 100 years, some form of this was used by the British Army, by Americans, but it's the same thing. You got flint here, you got a piece of steel here, the same thing, a pan, same exact thing as was with the pistol. And the difference with this right here is the British, when they used it, every gun for the most part was exactly alike. So if my buddy's hammer broke, I could give him another one. If the frizzen broke, you could get another one. Same thing, the ramrod, everything was the same, and that's what made it a unique piece of equipment. This is a 75 caliber weapon, and it uses a 69 caliber ball, which is right about 1 ounce. So you have an ounce of lead traveling down the field at a pretty good click. Now this is a musket. A musket is just basically a smooth pipe, and when the ball takes off, because you're using a 69 caliber and a 75 caliber barrel, there's a lot of rattle room right in there. So up close, within 50 yards is pretty good, and the farther you go, the worse it gets. So at about 100 yards, the ball has, if you aimed here, has already dropped 18 inches, roughly. This right here, you think, well, that's a sight. That is not a sight. It's actually thank you, sir.
Welcome.
It's a lock for putting a bayonet onto it. And what makes the Brown Bess a neat instrument is because now you've got a 6-foot spear that shoots at people. So if you run out of bullets, you've still got a weapon. What they would do is they would line up and they would shoot at each other about 50 yards away, hopefully more or less. But anyway, they would volley a whole bunch of shots down the thing. It would hopefully confuse the people, frighten the people, and then they would charge with their bayonets and hopefully scatter them. So that's the difference between this and this. Like I said, this would be a unique piece made by a local gunsmith. So this hammer would not work here. Nothing would work other than the piece of flint, which is universal between all three instruments. You want to take off with the musket?
So we're looking at the difference between a formally trained and formally equipped British Army next to a band of militia or citizen soldiers. So as Doug talked about, the British Army is going to be issued this Brown Bess with a bayonet, with the scabbard, and more importantly over here, a cartridge box to which you keep your cartridges in. For the American militia, this is what you can bring from home. Maybe your colony is rich enough to supply arms and the stand of arms and clothing, but most of the time when the militia call goes out, it's what you can bring from home. So most Americans you see showing up are bringing what we would consider small squirrel rifles, or small squirrel muskets, or rifled muskets, as what you might see going on here. The big difference, You see the stock goes all the way up to the end of the barrel to support it. They can't fix a bayonet to this, so you have to decide, do you want to shoot or do you want to run? And that's a pretty big part because the bayonet is used effectively against the American militia several times, where the Americans know when they hear the command to fix bayonets, I don't have to outrun you, I just have to outrun everybody else to get out of there. So getting caught in a bayonet charge is pretty significant. Now the difference between these is being a smoothbore musket. This is actually a rifled musket, and it has grooves cut in the barrel. It's cut by a gunsmith. They have to be precise enough and have a certain twist over a number of inches to stabilize a musket ball. When you get into the heat of battle, black powder produces fouling, and it becomes a little bit tougher and longer to reload this versus a smoothbore musket. So the rate of fire goes to the British who are carrying this as well as the other Americans, but the accuracy of fire goes to carrying the rifle. With this coming from home, you'll be issued, if you don't have your own, a powder horn as well as a shot bag. Now this creates a problem for fighting because in a powder horn, you need to uncap this, measure out powder, pour it into the pan, measure out another charge, put it down the barrel, ram down the charge, put the ramrod back, and then fire. When you're working with a cartridge out of a cartridge box, what we see over here, they have pre-made paper cartridges which they can use with their teeth to tear them open, prime that in, and then pour the rest of the charge down there. So you can speed up your loading time by using a cartridge. This is good for hunting, but rabbits and squirrels, they don't shoot back. You want to have a cartridge box.
The difference too, like you said with yours, you might have a rate of about one shot a minute. Whereas with this, 3 is good, 4 is really good, but so about every 15 to 20 seconds it takes to reload this, where this is 1 minute to do this. In the heat of battle, that probably changes quite a bit too. I'm sure ramrods get snapped off or stuck.
Snapped off. Yeah. Muskets are loaded incorrectly, double charged, triple charged, and then you're a bomb waiting to go off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.